Well, today's list is a weird one, and I hope it's good, because it's really cool. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today's video comes from Goron27 over on Moxfield, who sent me a spicy one. We're probably going to have to read some cards today for this one. The build-around card here is probably Stormchaser's Talent. So when you play this, you get a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess. And as cards like Monastery Mentor and Corey Steelcutter have shown us, prowess is pretty darn good. Now, for 4 mana, you can make this level 2, and when it does, you return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And if you somehow get to 6 mana in this deck, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you make an otter with prowess. And this card is neat with Stormchaser's Talent. This town ain't big enough. Let's ignore the 5 mana cost. The 5 mana cost is only relevant for Up the Beanstalk drawing card purposes. This costs 3 less to cast, meaning it's 2 mana, if it targets a permanent you control. And you can return up to 2 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. So the idea here is that you do something like play out a Stormchaser's Talent, and then you bounce one of your opponent's thing with this town ain't big enough, and you bounce your own Stormchaser's Talent. You get to replay your Stormchaser's Talent. And then when you get to 4 mana, you can then go ahead and rebuy your copy of This Town Ain't Big Enough to rebounce your Stormchaser's Talent and bounce your opponent's thing again. And you can end up in this sort of loop where you are drawing extra cards with Up the Beanstalk while you are going and just bouncing things in and out of play for value and tempo. And this deck is not playing Murktide Regent, it is playing Eddymurk Crab. So this is a 5/5 with Flash. It costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. It enters tapped if you play it with Flash. But when it enters, you can tap up to 2 target creatures. So I am very, very skeptical about this idea. I'm going to be upfront about that. It feels like we are playing a whole bunch of cards that aren't really good enough for Legacy. Stormchaser's Talent, This Town Ain't Big Enough, Eddymurk Crab are all kind of questionable in my mind. And we're also trying to be this deck that does all these cool things in the late game while playing 18 lands, 2 of which are wastelands. So I am kind of confused ultimately for what this deck is trying to do. It feels like it is trying to be an aggressive Delver prowess deck, but then there's all these expensive spells and Up the Beanstalk to slow you down associated with that. This is one of those things that I really need to see it in action to see how powerful it's going to be. But if I get my butt kicked today, I will understand why. So we will see if the synergy associated with things like Stormchaser's Talent ends up being good enough. And it may just be that like playing an otter, rebuying this one's getting a second otter and crashing in is very good. But it seems to me like this is a whole lot more work than just playing Corey Steelcutter alongside a bunch of cantrips. So I'm going to go into this with an open mind, but like I have the eyebrow raised already, I'll have you know. But I want this to be good, because it is really cool deck building. And if you need your copies of This Town Ain't Big Enough for Stormchaser's Talent, consider getting them from TOAmagic.com. These are newer cards, and TOA tends to have 95% of all standard legal stuff in stock at any given time. Remember, promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order, and you always get free shipping as well. With that being said, let's battle. Alright, we have an otter. We've got that going for us. My hand doesn't innately really do anything beyond this otter, but hopefully that's fine. Black mana, and I'll lose one of these brainstorms here. The remaining brainstorm is gonna have some work to do. No. Lands are not what I want right now, thank you. Okay, that is like way, way better overall. Let's probably go land back here. I don't have any green stuff yet. Do I want to just get another basic? Hedge against my opponent being a wasteland deck? I think so. And we will make another otter friend. and then crash in for 3. Maybe I underestimated these otters. If my opponent just like plays something like a Doughty Voidwalker on their turn, I'll just like bounce, crash in for 4, then be at the point where I can hopefully return some cantrips. I mean, like, you know, if I must. Wasteland came back. Yep. Boop. Crash in for 4, and then I can dismember it when it comes back. Maybe on my own turn for prowess instead of being mana efficient. Yeah, that's fine. Now here's where things are a little weird, because I can dismember this immediately or try to get some damage in with it. This ability here is weird, as is the Brazen Borrower floating in exile. This is where I just have 0 heuristics playing with or against something that looks like this. I think I'm just gonna nuke it now. I'll get a trop for that. 4 life. We're air quotes wasting the prowess, but hopefully that's fine. Edge Maze is not what I am looking for. I will just have 5 mana though. And for 5 mana I can get and replay Dismember instantly. I think this is fine. Don't want extra land. Send in for 2 with the intention of playing Brazen Borrower with my mana. I feel like this art is weird. Not the otter itself, but the little peach-ish colored box around it makes this card feel very weird, like it's being highlighted or something. Alright, opponent must have some sort of like opposition agent, Brazen Borrower, or not Brazen Borrower, Orcish Bowmaster type card. I'm gonna play this anyway. Yep, no, we already figured that was coming. Boy, we've got land though. So, Stormchaser's Talent, 4/4, level it up, return the Dismember to hand. We will deal more damage to myself, and then, yeah, okay, I'm not crazy. It's the same color as like the highlighty thing that happens here. Okay, it did objectively feel weird. And I can get the Dismember back yet again. This is kind of funny. Well, our opponent just died. They never dealt us damage, but I did deal 10 damage to myself. So that was a thing. I am probably not really sideboarding much here. Like, I could do some things in respect of Orcish Bowmasters. Force of Negation is probably not very good. The donor sent me 2 different versions of the deck list. The original was much more controlling, and this one was more tempo-y, which, given my one game, feels right. But when I had revised the controlling one, I put more Dismembers in the deck, in the sideboard. And then with this tempo-y one, I figured the gut shots would be better. I'm gonna try those out. And I might just, like, basically become a mono blue deck for this game. The Up the Beanstalks are less good versus Orcish Bowmasters. And, like, it's particularly bad. Oh, God. Oh, man. We're gonna have some stinkers today if hands look like this. Keep? I am very far away from this crab being castable. I am even further away than I thought from this crab being castable. Oh, shit. Oh. I was expecting my opponent to be Dark Ritual rather than Chrome Mox. Shoot the Sheriff? Well, I wasn't wrong. Well, both sides tried hard. Both sides tried hard. We gave it our all. Damn. Do I Null Rod? I'm willing to make that swap at the very least. No, I could. There's like Force of Negation and Consigned to Memory things now that I know that is happening. I think I'm okay with this. Alright, we have dodged Leyline. I think I am going to start on a basic island. Do I have grain cards? No. Alright. Basic island it is. And let's play an otter that hopefully will get mad and punch my opponent in the face really, really, really hard repeatedly. Wamp. That's resolving. Goif. Sure. That's like perfectly fine. I would love to hit the natural land drop here to shut off Chrome Mox. Not that much of a luck sack. I think I am going to ponder here. I want 4 looks at a land, not 3. Yes. Do I want both lands? I kind of want all of these cards, but I think I'm just going to do this and just fetch around Opposition Agent. With those exact cards that I drew, that would have been a much better brainstorm. I think I'm just going to pass the turn here with Stern Scolding available. That's going to be 17 life. My opponent can jam some horrible, horrible 3-drop. That does not have power or toughness 2 or less. So this is now a brainstorm spot. Never didn't have it. This crab's pretty bad right now. Could use Lorien Revealed to shuffle some of these cards. What am I pitching to Force of Will? Like, the crab is fine later on. The crab can go back in the deck. Save this. Put back land. Fetch land with Lorien Revealed. Sure. Let's set a stop here. Force of Will. Pitching Lorien Revealed. I just did that wrong. Oh my god. 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 I like very specifically talked about what I was going to do and then just didn't do it. Okay. Is Lorien Revealed on top, please? Trop is, so I'm redrawing Lorien Revealed. Okay. We're gonna pretend that this was all a plan to leave up Stern Scolding for Orcish Bowmasters while shutting off Chrome Mox. That's what we're gonna pretend. That's how we're gonna tell this fucking story. What an absolutely atrocious mistake. Oh, is a fucking crab? How much do you cost? You cost 4. Yeah, no, I don't get my next lander up. Oh my god. Alright. That is what it is. My opponent doesn't have Lorien Reveal, or not, Opposition Agent mana right now, so at least that's good. Still cost 4? You still cost 4. Alright. So, cycle this. I'm gonna get Hedge Maze here. That's an okay card. I think I am just going to keep that. Cost 3, which is still priced out. My opponent doesn't do anything cool. It is fine that I am dirtling here. Yep. If my opponent doesn't take the crab, I get to just cast the crab with flash this turn, which is kind of funny. Yeah, so they have to take the crab, basically. And I'm fine just drawing the Brazen Borrower and having a bunch of flash options available. I'm gonna get rid of this upkeep stop. I don't need this anymore. And I'll just pass. It's a shame I can't, like, Brazen Borrower my Stormchaser's talent. I am fine just casting this when I have an answer to Bowmasters available. I don't care if I trade with another removal spell. Cool. Some of my cards are randomly blanking out. I don't know why, but it's not that big of a deal. That's fine. Again, I don't care if I am trading with a removal spell. I will make an Otter and pass. And then whenever my opponent plays out something, I will bounce it for Borg. I'm just gonna hold this. Attack in is a little weird. Oh, Sudden Edict. Sure. I guess I am fine tapping some mana for this. I, like, realistically might just 6 mana this in this matchup. Yeah. In fact, I think I'm just going to set up to do that. I've already made my land drop. I think I'm just going to pass. My opponent's Fistful of Removal has not gone well for them. Hoo-hoo. That's a big one. Need this stop again, I think. Yeah, that resolves. I will go ahead and preemptively cycle this while Opposition Agent is down. Pick up a new land. And then honestly, I might just, like, do the thing and let my opponent have Sheoldred for a turn. We'll see. I think I'm going to take my draw and not do this immediately and just kind of see what I draw. Like, let my opponent have 2 life. Alright. So let's go bounce you for 2 mana, and then go bam. I'm just gonna always yield to that, and bam. And then on my turn, I just get it back and bounce the Sheoldred, and then my opponent is just gonna kind of end up in this loop where I can keep rebuying it with Stormchaser's talent. Yeah. That's fine. Otter deck popping off. Grab. So, return. Get this town ain't big enough. Do I just play this? Just as a 5/5 that sits in front of Sheoldred. And then I bounce Sheoldred in upkeep. That's fine. It costs 3. I needed to do that prior to returning this. Okay. That's fine. Always yield to those. Crash in for 4. It feels like there's more efficient ways of doing what I'm doing. Ooh. Dropped Stern Scolding. Got punished. But I guess that means that my opponent doesn't have Shouldered out this turn. Wow. Well, that was really bad. Delver available. You cost 2. You do cost 2. I think what I'm into now is play Crab, tap down some stuff, do a Stormchaser's talent, and return a Force of Will with this. And now I have the Shouldered covered long term, and we'll figure out what exactly we're doing with Bowmasters later. Oh, that's very inconvenient. Yeah. This means I need to now choose between countering a removal spell on this Crab and a Shouldered. I'm going to permanently answer the Shouldered. But obviously the whole Crab situation is pretty bad. I mean, I assume that's what's happening with the remaining 2 mana here, is some sort of Edict or... so we've seen Sudden Edict, Shouldered's Edict, Shoot the Sheriff. Ooh, no attacks, no follow-up play immediately? That's great. So then I think we're going to get back another Force of Will, and then just kind of hedge our bets. Yeah, and I think I am not attacking with the Crab immediately. I think I've got inevitability here. Like, at some point I just go up to level 3 of a Stormchaser's Challenge backed by Force of Will, and that probably wins me the game. My opponent just Dark Ritualing last turn to play around Daze? I counter it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Alright, Delver. Yeah, I'll reveal a Brainstorm. Is it a particularly good card in the face of multiple Orcish Bowmasters? One could argue that it is not. Is this better than just putting Force of Will into my hand again? I'm not sure that it is, which is unfortunate. I would like to poop otters everywhere. Do I want this town ain't big enough? I don't see Orc Army token out of play. I think I just want Force of Will again. Absolutely send with this. I think that's enough. Opponent's at 8. And that's no attacks from my opponent, which is probably good for me. Now, we're going ultimate. Now, whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell, we make an otter. My opponent has some play to make. This is their spot before that ability resolves, and I get an otter from Force of Will. Negative. Yeah, this is fine. So I can Force of Will this to make an otter. I'm just not sure that this card matters. So I think it resolves. Feels like bait. Opponent's at 5. Next turn I could activate another one of these and get 2 otters per spell. I counter it. Yeah, no. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm, making an otter. Misty Rainforest not doing much with Opposition Agent in play. I think this is the rare Prowess Null Rod. And now every one of my creatures has to be blocked, which seems fine. My opponent can double block the Crab if they want. Okay, they're just chumping the Crab. Going to 2. This land is now a land again. Do I have 2 hedge mazes? No, I have 1 hedge maze. Then this just taps for colorless mana. 2, 4, 5 available, so I can't level up anything. Alright, cool. An opponent did not have a big haymaker like Shouldered to round things out. That was a 15-turn game. This deck is very cool. The engine here is neat. That was a successful first round. But if we are ending games on turn 15, I don't know how well that bodes for the rest of the league. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. All right. My hand doesn't really do anything, but it's got some Brainstorms, and hopefully that changes. Playing against a blue-black deck of some kind, and we'll try to figure out what kind over the next couple of turns. I think I am just going to do a sorcery speed Brainstorm on my own turn to play around Orcish Bowmasters. Brainstorm feels pretty darn important to resolve safely, that is. Well, okay. Abandon that plan. Let's just play a Delver. I've just made myself bad against Bowmasters in a different way. But I think, you know, if you're playing a Delver deck, you gotta turn one the Delver, right? Every time my blue-black opponent plays a Undercity Sewers, it doesn't immediately just spike and attract so randomly. I feel a lot better about myself. I'm going to brainstorm here. It's around Orcish Bowmasters, and flipping this Delver would be cool. The Delver might just get Fatal Pushed in response or whatever. Ooh. Let's go Crab, and then just flip to a Brainstorm. And send in for 3, and play a new Delver. I like the part where I now have Force of Will in my hand to back this up. 16, and we'll throw out a new Delver. Didn't get dazed or anything, that's nice. We're playing around Wasteland innately, god damn it. Not Tempo, it is Reanimator. In which case Forcing lost us the game. Well, not literally, like, I can Brazen Borrower my way out of this. But it is a lot of value. I will sacrifice the unflipped Delver, junk Lorien Revealed, and hopefully Brazen Borrower this out of play and just continue to hit my opponent. Don't think I have time to set this up with cantrips. Out of days? You win if so. Yep. Alright. I think this is enough value that I just give this game up and move on to the next one. Play a couple Grafdigger's Cages here. Probably don't really have time to set up the Beanstalk. I could round out the deck with something like this, or keep one Beanstalk or Force of Negation. I think I'm going to go with Force of Negation. Okay, we have a reasonable turn 1 play. We have Ponder to flip the Delver, and maybe find a Grafter's Cage or a counterspell to make this hand look a little better. A Thoughtseize would be rough. That is resolving. Delver trigger. Third Eddymurk Crab. Okay. Guess I can play the land drop. Stormchaser's Talent. While a fine card. I don't think that's good enough here. I'm probably doing that in my upkeep. So there's the land drop from my opponent. They get to start accumulating clues. And we are just chilling. I am fine doing this here. Although again, Bowmaster's rough. We're going to get rid of a crab. Flip to Lorien Revealed, but then fetch it away. I don't want to draw that right now, even though it is a card in graveyard for these. I think I just want to give myself the possibility of drawing something like Force of Will here. Alright. Send in for 3. Opponent's at 16. I think I save this land and throw down a Grafdigger's Cage. I would really like to resolve. Alright, it resolves. I can then have 3 cards in graveyard for Eddymurk Crab. Alright, it's just cracking a clue. I think I just let that resolve. I've lost a crab, and now my opponent is pondering. And has the fetch land to clear as well. And they all accumulate yet another clue. I am good with island cycling this still. I think I will take the untapped land. Oh no. So this is 4 mana. I can cast it on my opponent's turn to tap down their Tamiyo, I guess, if I'm willing to walk into Daze. I'm not, like, the most excited about. But I don't have too much else to do unless my opponent fetches an ETB tapped land here. I think I'm going to go for Crab and upkeep. It does, unfortunately, get dazed. In a Brazen Borrower now? Oh no, just blue. Sure. My opponent's clues surely are outpacing this Delver in terms of ending the game. I still think I should be attacking with the Delver. But I think my opponent's card is worth more than 3 life in many cases. But I think I have to attempt to end the game, because eventually my opponent finds Brazen Borrower and unlocks all their various reanimation cards. And that feels quite bad for me. Sure. Yes. I didn't go here, which was what I was expecting, honestly. Stormchaser's Talent. Doesn't do a ton right now. I mean, I will play it, obviously. But I don't really have, like, nice removal to just get back here. I'm going to still wasteland my opponent since they are cracking clues and such. But that does mean that I'm less likely to return something and then cast it. Basic land. Mio gets a clue. Notably, that basic land doesn't cast Brazen Borrower on curve to block Delver, or otherwise start getting in for aggressive points of damage. Yeah. Yeah. Yup. Against Tameo flips, which is really annoying. And that makes my prowess attack worse in a second here. Let's try to find something to do. Nope. Thank you, Days. Very cool. So, 4 mana. I guess Return of Ponder. So, I cast this, prowess trigger happens. What can this return on land permanents? So I can bounce the Tameo and my Stormchaser's talent. I then draw a Delver that does not flip. That doesn't sound great, but this might be above average. Now my opponent can ping my face. This would be a 1-2 as an attacker, which is not great. I don't think I'm getting through this. Now my opponent has, like, clues at their graveyard, Tameo at their disposal, Brazen Borrower coming. Oh, what is that? Oh, that's just a Ponder, sure. If they're doing that and not casting anything, a little weird. And bouncing the Tameo doesn't even make that much sense anymore. My opponent has 2 clues sitting here. Ugh. Maybe I end up playing this in a way where I put the 3rd counter on here and try to go prowess wide. That, like, is way worse versus this Tameo plus, though. And it just feels like my opponent has tricks. So if I try to get very aggressive with this town ain't big enough here, I don't know that that goes well for me. See what opponent's got going on? Is just the Brazen Borrower. I can't really say that's fine. Everything is bad right now. I have probably shut down a large number of black cards from my opponent's hand, but it still kind of feels like they just have force of will pitching that Ponder they picked up with some number of other things to supplement it. Alright, I'll take that hit and try to play this on a longer timeline and not get blown out. So don't reveal the Delver trigger. Go to 6 on this and try to do something cool later. Crack a clue. Crack another clue. Cameo pluses. I guess there's some timelines where I could just cast 5 mana, this town ain't big enough, and bounce 2 things of my opponent's rather than trying to get some value by bouncing my own stuff. Got a fetch to clear, and just more cantripping. It kind of sucks that I can't just string cantrips together because of my opponent's Bowmaster. Would be nice to draw my own Bowmaster for their Bowmaster, but I kind of feel like they have a Bowmaster in hand, and have been playing conservatively as well. Uh-huh. So we'll need to bounce that out of play. I guess I'm taking 5. Hate it. Alright, Delver flip to some insane spell. Wasteland, no! Alright, this is where I probably begrudgingly just need to take game actions. I think this is bounce. Can't get lethal by dazing my own spell. Alright, I think we're gonna go bounce for 2 mana, do prowess, make a whopping 1 otter. If my opponent counters this. They do. So I can daze here to make another otter and increase the power of this, but I don't think that gets me anywhere. I am comfortable conceding there. I think we just got overwhelmed by higher quality cards. Alright. Opening hand is fine. I think I'm going to play the non-basic here so that I have the possibility of Ponder into fetch, into Ponder next turn. I like this opening hand a lot as a whole. I've got some aggressive stuff. I have 2 different ways to address creatures. We'll just see what opponent's doing. Pondra? Ending on the talent itself. Sure. I mean, that's fine. Sort of like with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, I still have something left around afterwards. So hopefully we can deal a lot of damage with this otter. Delver? Fine drawing a Delver. Good playing that. I think I'm getting a tropical island here since I already have a trop. Run down the Delver. We have no way to guarantee that the Delver flips next turn, but I've got Force of Will backing up 2 threats in play, and a way to interact with an opposing creature if my opponent is playing something like Cephalid Breakfast, which they are. I'm going to let that resolve and dismember that. Delver trigger. Will not reveal the crab. That becomes my new Force of Will target. Let's Ponder Always yield to that. No. Beans don't do anything immediately. I am fine staying aggressive here and sending in for 4. So the nightmare scenario, I guess, would be Cavern of Souls into Nadu. Ponder's fine. Fast shuffle. Oh no, opponent does not have more land. Yeah, I'll flip to Brainstorm. That's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and throw down the beans to make Force of Will better. It resolves. Another Stormchaser's talent. I'm in a fine spot. Things can go wrong. Again, Cavern of Souls is a card that exists. A combo piece with Force of Will protection could similarly be bad. Brainstorm is, I think, fine. God damn it. So there is Cephalid Illusionist, which is going to resolve because of Cavern of Souls. However, I can hopefully just Force of Will a Dread Return in a second here. So my opponent is going to mill their entire deck here. Alright, so now we are approaching the tail end of their deck here. And they are passing the turn. Where is Thassa's Oracle? Thassa's Oracle is in graveyard already. Dread Return is in graveyard. It feels like my opponent is about to cast a Narcomoeba or something like that. And then in response, I bounce a Cephalid Illusionist out of play. Mill them for 3 and they mill out. I guess that depends on whether or not they have green in hand for Memory's Journey already. And I just bounce Cephalid Illusionist now with the Oracle in the graveyard. Probably just one. Might be able to just do that. Do that and target my Beanstalk. Draw a card. Hit a land drop. A Daze. I think I Force of Will that. I don't know how my opponent Dread returns before dying. I Brazen Borrower to mill them out the following turn. Force of Will, pitch Crab, Prowess trigger again, draw another card. Can deal 7? Seems fine. You just Brainstorm now. I think I'm going to put Brazen Borrower hiding on top. Okay. Send it. Opponent goes to 1. Draws their last card. Is there another Thassa's Oracle plus land in hand? No! Ooh. That was close. So something went wrong with my opponent's combo attempt where they like had one too many Narcomoebas in hand or something like that. Yeah, opponent says drew Oracle that turn and had both Narcomoebas in hand. Okay, I have some number of things that I can use as interaction here. Like I can consign to memory a Thassa's Oracle trigger. I can Stern Scolding some of the creatures, but just some of them. Gut Shot, I guess, does some things. Grafdigger's Cage kind of does some things against one of the 2 combos. I am pretty damn bad at answering Nadu specifically. I think that means that I am going to try to beat the Cephalid Breakfast side of the deck and just accept that a lot of the times I'm going to lose to Nadu when I can't counter it or dismember it. I think that means playing as many things as possible to stop the combo that I think I can beat. I would Force of Negation pretty mid. That gets me at least the first consign. Let's get some more consigns. I'm not great at beating just a pile of Urza Saga construct tokens. Don't Cavern of Souls me. And this hand's great. So in the more controlling draft of this that I made, I had 2 dress downs in the sideboard in respect of Urza's Saga in particular. Under's fine. This deck is cool. I am enjoying playing this deck a lot. Quite unique. Ooh. I honestly probably just want land off of this ponder. Yeah. This is fine. Land drop 2 for my opponent. That can resolve. I can gut shot that. I'm going to go ahead and drop my Otter, and then just pass. I know that I have a Dismember on top of my deck, which I presumably will still want. That's fine. Prismatic Ending. This is like a fine thing to just daze. that true? Do I need this? I don't know that I actually need that. Okay. Like, it's cool with this, but that might be getting pitched to one of these two Force of Wills. I think I'm okay casting this for mana efficiency here. So since I don't have my enchantment anymore, I'm going to get rid of this town ain't big enough. I think I will just go ahead and fetch immediately. Start here with Gut Shot. And then hopefully make a big otter. Opponent approves of the Gut Shot. I don't think I want another one bad enough to draw those two lands. I play a land. I did play a land. So I will just hold that. Bash for 3. I have a lot of interaction here, but the otter is just a 1/1 if I am not playing cantrips or something on my own turn. Otter's just a 1/1. You got it. I'll find another threat eventually. That's fine. I'm going to assume that my days is going to be reasonable at some point. And I'm going to go ahead and cycle Lorien Revealed, even though I've got some Force of Wills here. I'm going to try to work towards Force of Will being hard castable. I'm going to take a Hedge Maze in case I miss on a decent play for the turn, which I did. Fuck it. Okay, yeah, we're staring at each other. I'll fucking cast a Lorien Revealed. I thought that was something I was not going to do in the entire league. Grab a Trop. Attempt Lorien Revealed. That is a Force of Will pitching a Force of Will. I will fight back. Force of Will pitching the days, and then I will presumably draw a new card to pair with Force of Will, which I did. And we get a Crab, which is presumably better than Delver at this point. That's another land drop from my opponent. Probably not what they are looking for. Ooh, wow. Crab is 2 mana. I'll play it. I guess I could have played that with Flash. Yeah, I could have played that with Flash. I am going to hold Delver to pitch to Force of Will in hopes of hard casting the second Force of Will afterwards. They keep a card. Yeah, that's fine. Flooded Strand clears for the Brainstorm. Yeah, all day. You can cantrip all day. All day again. That one's a shuffle. It is a new Delver of Secrets. One's at 7. I think I am fine playing a Delver, but I'm going to hold the second one. I think I'll interact with that. Yeah. I could just as easily see letting that resolve. Sure. I don't think I am willing to just go shields down there and lose to my opponent's last 2 cards being the perfects. Let's crash in with a Delver for 1 and then hopefully kill my opponent the following turn. 6. Yeah. I think there's a good chance that I won the game if I did not play my Crab out early and telegraph it. Consign to memory. Yes. And yes again. And then I don't want to draw the consign. I've got the Force. Is your last card a counter spell? Force of Will doesn't work here. No, it is not. So then I've got 6 on board from the Delvers, and we put a win on the board. GG. Opponent had Nadu and was trying to play conservatively with... Oh, I see. They drew another card before revealing their hand. So their last card must have been Force of Will with nothing paired with it, because otherwise you just play out the Nadu. Anyway, GG's. Alright. Looks like I've got a pretty reasonable opening hand here. They're playing against another blue-white deck of some kind. I've got Otters backed by days. That's where I'm starting off. Oh, that resolved very, very quickly. Remove this stop again. Esper of some kind. I daze it. I don't daze that. I don't daze that either, I don't think. An opponent kept with their Ponder. Let's do the cantrip thing. This is just objectively too many lands. I'm going to fetch. I'm going to get another island and Ponder. Okay. I'm good with double Delver Brainstorm next turn. Savannah. I would really like you not to have that card. I'm going to force pitch Lorien Revealed and hope this Daze does something. Alright. Okay, the Daze did something. That lets me keep both Delvers. Fantastic. Do I always want to Brainstorm next turn, or do I just fetch to clear? I can fetch to clear now. Grab Trop, and throw down 2 Delverinos. I fully don't expect both of them to make it around the table. Sure. Uh-huh. I get wastelanded, sure. So since Bowmaster is not currently available, I'm good with this deck. That means they are not flipping either turn. Wow. What a disaster. That is so much missed damage. Cool. Cool. So that's 20 life. That's 5 cards in graveyard for Uro. I know my Delvers don't flip this turn either. I'm drawing that Trop, which I am not going to play. Do you cost 2? You cost 2. Could have been 12 damage, and instead it's 4. I'm thinking about whether or not I am brazen borrowing or crabbing this Uro when it comes into play. Misty for Hedge Maze. God damn it, opponent's last card is Force of Will. Means that I can't cast his crab. Okay. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Cool. Send in. Opponent is at 11. I don't play this land because of Wasteland. And this does just cost 2 mana, right? 3 less. Yeah. So there's Uro, which I think I need to bounce. My opponent could have Force of Will protecting this, so I just need to play 2 things that get it out of play. I guess I'm going to do this one. This and this. 1 and 2. See if it's a blue card to pair with the Force of Will. It is. Now my opponent gets cards. Goes to 13. Oh no, there's more. Okay, at least I had 2 more things that deal with Uro. Oh, they left me with the crab. I guess it lets them untap. Sure hope that last card isn't Force of Will. Not too much that I can do if it is. Opponent goes to 4. Well, I guess I could cast the crab on my turn. It's the difference between potentially being alive and not. Alright, upkeep crab. Hope the last card is not Force of Will. Last card is Brainstorm. Still think I am going for upkeep crab. Yeah? Okay, nice. Tap down the Uro. That's a land. And my opponent now needs to answer 3 of my creatures, which is theoretically possible, but pretty tough. Bargain. That's a lot of cards. Brainstorm. Colored mana is now becoming a limiting factor. Binding. Note that my opponent had 1 card in hand at the beginning of this turn. Alright, we put the win on the board, but that was a scary, scary comeback there. So I can bounce Uros and Murktide Regents out of play. Dismember is not great unless my opponent has Bowmasters specifically. I could play something like Cage to stop Uro from coming back. I could play something like Consign to Memory to stop Leyline Binding triggers. My Dazes are great in the early game and just very, very bad late on. Force Negation feels medium. Cage feels medium. Might just not sideboard. There's like 2 to 4 copies of Bowmasters that I need to be thinking about, and Gutshot is better than Dismember there. Dismember can hit some random pivots like Goyf or Tamiyo's. I think I'm just gonna not sideboard. This is fine. Got Flooded Strand. Ponder's fine. And a fast shuffle. My own Beanstalk. I think that means this is a trop. I can lead on this. It is awkward if I get wastelanded for being... Yeah. Yes. Some tension here, though. Fuck, now my opponent gets to see that I don't have lands. Hyper punished. I lost a Brainstorm, and opponent is going to wasteland me. Oogie! Probably means that I lose this one. 16. Opponent has lands, I don't. Uh-huh. I'll attack for 1. I will concede this one very, very quickly to something reasonable hitting play from my opponent. Edge Maze. Another carpet. Okay. I did find a land. So that's the good news. Go ahead and play Delver. My opponent can have some bonus mana. If I'm lucky, cards become a limiting factor, and the mana doesn't do a ton. Thoughtseize is fine. I can't play these cards very well anyway. The land. That's scary. I have Brazen Borrower as a theoretical answer to it. Trigger. Force of Negation. Don't Bowmaster me? Cool. So I have 1 out to Uro. Do I just need another out? Hopefully not. Drop this. Play Ponder. That at least lets me hit that next land drop. And then I could shuffle this to attempt to Well, I guess I could just, like, crab Uro forever. I guess that's a plan. 6. I lose a lot of oomph, though, moving forward. Opponent gets free Uro from double Carpet of Flowers trigger. Ooh. No. I think just no on that. Opponent is still gonna get an Uro. Wait. Yeah. Green, green, blue, floating blue. And I am hoping that my opponent doesn't draw anything to back this up, and I just tap it down twice and then maybe bounce it. That's the plan. Feeling the Delver is rough. Not nothing. I am assuming that this costs... assumption fucking wrong. So then I need to Brazen Borrower it this first time. Yuck. Prowess trigger. How is Daze going to do against 2 Carpet of Flowers? Not fantastic, is my guess. I think I very awkwardly am going to Daze this Uro, so that this costs exactly 2. I don't know, my opponent will probably play something else. There's a new land drop. And a fetch. Bonus Uro food. Hate it. Yeah. So my hope is that my opponent just casts the Uro and my Daze works. Damn it, opponent. Be bad at magic. Rat. I'll go ahead and play Delver, attack for 1. Don't have enough mana to do this Brazen Borrower thing. Eddymurk Crab is so much worse than Murktide Regent in this spot. Always yield to these. You got your mana. And is making white. Fetching. I think this is the spot where I just awkwardly use the Daze to guarantee that I can tap it down and keep it from attacking. Yep. 14. And another land drop. This is more of a game than I was expecting. Oh shit. Okay. Wait, is that for X equals 0? Just killing literally the otter and keeping this stuff? Okay. Delver trigger. I will reveal this town ain't big enough, but I'm going to cast a crab on my opponent's turn instead. I would like to get the crab attacking. 11. Upkeep. Please don't have Force of Will as the last card. Yeah, it's Force of Will as the last card. Joy. That's cantripping Force of Will. That allows an Uro attack to happen. Pretty awful. More land drops. Mana, not a problem. That can just become a land. We'll do the basic, because I still do need to cast this Brazen Borrower at some point, presumably. Send in for 3. 11. Once again, I am asking you not to have Force of Will. Once again, they have Force of Will. Absolutely not catching a break here. I wonder if I win this game if I don't fetch Trop on turn 1. I just straight up don't think the Up the Beanstalks should be in the deck at all. I get drained. That's never a good sign. Eat 6. I am down to 8. One's got white mana. I am out of threats. I suspect at this point I can't win anymore. No. Okay. We will attempt to bounce the Uro out of play so I don't take 6. But this is statistically unlikely at this point. Alright. Fine. I think these Dazes got bad enough that I don't want them in the deck. I'm going to play 2 things that are fine against Uro, and then just like something that I can cast to counter a spell. Hand's good. 2 Delvers. Brainstorm to flip. Cage to stop Uro. Let's do it. Island Delver go. Opponent might remove my Delver. I'm going to see if it blind flips here. Blind flips to Force of Will. Don't mind if I do. Send in. 17. Cast Delver. Touch. I'm ignoring the fact that Up the Beanstalk exists. Just gonna ponder to attempt to flip Delver. I don't really want Lorien revealed, but I'll take one so that I can flip the Delver. Delta. I'm just gonna stay aggressive here. I think I'm going to Force of Will, pitch my Brainstorm, use Lorien revealed to shuffle so I don't draw the other Lorien revealed. Sure. Lose 1 Delver. Reveal Lorien revealed. Island cycle. I guess. Ooh. Don't mind that. 13. Attempt Grafdigger's Cage. Make my opponent's mana worse. I am very worried that my opponent's just pile O removal ends up winning from here. They're not even under enough pressure where they, like, have to remove the Delver. They could take a turn off to play Up the Beanstalk here. Delta fetches. Yeah, see? That's very obviously not what I want. I need just another threat before my opponent stabilizes. Ponder. Wasteland? They're stable. Uh-huh. That's very bad. That's very bad as well. So now I am just hoping my opponent doesn't have Murktide Regent. I mean, that is also horrendous for me. I will play out my card, but I'm not hopeful. I think I am one bargain away from this game being over. A bargain will just draw my opponent 4 cards. My deck doesn't come back from that very well. I mean, that is also obviously very bad. Oh, going for the cage. That doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy, because that probably means that my opponent has the Uro and just needs to be able to deploy it. Force of Will. That is a very bad draw at this stage of the game, because I don't have a blue card to pair with it immediately. And my opponent is likely to remove my Delver this turn and then play Uro to stabilize. Alright, there is the Uro. Which is an entire extra turn. And there's a follow-up play. Uh-huh. Yep, that's why I was saying Force of Will is a bad draw. That was a Murktide Regent that did not max out on its size. That might mean that there's another one coming. I can try to high roll and play Crab on my opponent's turn, tap down 2 creatures that they have, and then try to swing for lethal. I'll go for it. I think that's better than trying to swing for 3 this turn. Land drop. Fetch. If my opponent plays another Murktide, I need them to just not have Force of Will in their hand, plus the 2 cards that they draw from Beanstalk. Okay, it is Uro. I'm gonna let that resolve and go for the Crab. I wish I felt like I had time to do this. Your fucking Crab is a sack of shit. There are 9 fucking cards in my graveyard and you don't cost 2. You're fucking fired, Crab. I was supposed to Force of Will then. I can also do that by playing the Trop and not playing around Wasteland. It's just an evoked endurance to attempt to eat my graveyard. Oh, that's annoying. So if I play my Trop, I can play the Crab, tap down both of those, and have a chance at winning. And instead, I chose not to do that. So I think I need to Force of Will and then draw another Crab. I think that's how I bail myself out of this hole I dug for myself, and it did not happen. I had an out to be live there. I just needed to count for the Crab. GG's. Alright. Final round here. My opening hand is pretty mid. I'm hoping to draw a cantrip to kind of make something out of this. At least I have Dismember here. Sure. You can take a peek. As long as this Dismember resolves, I probably have some time to turn this hand into something reasonable. Yeah. But if there is some sort of Metallic Rebuke type card protecting this Emery, I feel like I'm dead. Excellent. Another seat. I have 2 Dismembers, I believe, in this deck. Blue Painter with Stock Up. I have Wasteland for Urza's Saga, but I really need to answer this Emery or it will eat me alive. And I have so few real removal spells, and bouncing Emery and rebuying that trigger is pretty bad. I don't think these cards are good enough. Like, I imagine that my opponent rebuying Bauble just races a Delver. Shuffle. That's not great. I'm going to aggressively look for the other Dismember. 1 real removal spell is rough. Nah. Brainstorm. I think I'm just going to get run over. I'm not going to have time to get cute with Stormchaser's talent. Yep. Ah, shit. I just die the following turn. Okay. Everybody is green. So I can bounce something out of play. Again, that's just temporary, though. It isn't getting me anywhere. I can live for another turn or 2, but I think I am dead on a medium time scale. Let's get these colorless counterspells and null rods in here. Consigns and null rods. Stern Scolding is fine. I could play Grafdigger's Cage for Emery. That feels like it might be going a little deep. I think cut these. Probably go down on Force of Negations. And if I am going to bring in more 1-for-1 counterspells, go down on Force of Will. Oh no. Absolutely not. This doesn't do anything. Crab is bad. And we've got to count on our cantrips to turn this into a reasonable hand. Boarded out my green cards. Delver? Not the interaction that I want, but that might just be fine. I would really like to find a null rod, though. Talent is whatever. And brainstorm and then play that next turn. I think null rod is just such big game that I go aggressively for it. Sure. Is a turn 1 Emery again, and again I have very few answers to that once it's in play. Alright, brainstorm. Fix this pile of crap. Nope. I'm gonna get rid of crab and a land and hold up. Holding up consign doesn't even fucking matter. Whatever I counter, my opponent just gets back with this fucking Emery. Ah! Alright, then I'm gonna play Stormchaser's Talent. This does not feel good. There's a Saga. Rhinestone is coming back, which is happening. Uh-huh. Oh, that too. Yeah. I'm just losing to everything here. I'm losing to the Emery, I'm losing to the Saga, I'm losing to Painter Grindstone, and I can't really permanently answer Tamiyo either. Donde está Null Rod? Not here. I'm gonna put back land. Just want to cantrip. Do I need to pay 4 mana for a cantrip by activating Stormchaser's Talent? I hope not. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of this. Fetch this stuff away. Go Island. Play a new Stormchaser's Talent. Crash in for 3 with the possibility of countering a spell that my opponent plays that can just kill me, like Painter. If I counter it, it just comes back via Emery. There's another artifact land. These construct tokens are fucking massive. Oh, I fucked up. I was supposed to consign this Urza Saga trigger. Now, if I counter this, it just comes back anyway. If I don't counter it, I get hit by a construct this turn. Alright. I fucked up. I'm just going to live with that. And draw Null Rod. Yeah. Oh, it's Petal instead. Thought the boots were just coming back immediately. Tamiyo does Tamiyo stuff. Negative. Alright, from here, things need to go exactly right for me. So I'd like my opponent to make a construct token right now. Alright. I'll just hit for 2, I guess. Play Delver. Is it better than play Prowess Duder? Yes. I messed up real bad with the consign on Urza's Saga. I don't think I get to dig my way out of this. Spellbomb Emery is very good. Yep. I still do think the Tamiyo and Emery would have eaten me alive on a long enough time span anyway. Alright, so bounce that. Bounce one of these. Prowess triggers that aren't going to matter. Counterspell? Yep. Okay. I am comfortable conceding there. I get hit for so much this turn. We do put a couple of wins on the board, and we were pretty close to a few others. All right. Overall thoughts on the deck list here. Round 1 was really cool, where we dirtled around to the max and had a 15-turn game that we ended up winning. But beyond that, it felt like I was just working way too hard, and the cards that I was playing weren't strong enough for Legacy. I certainly had places to optimize. Don't get me wrong, like I made mistakes. I was expecting the crab to be 2 mana a couple of times when it was not 2 mana. Those sorts of mistakes are on me for not paying enough attention. But generally speaking, I think the green in the deck made the deck worse. Like, it's literally just for Up the Beanstalk, and that's only good if you are kind of doing your thing already. This doesn't do anything to help you in the early game, which is when I think this deck needs the most oomph. The engine is legitimately neat. I just don't know that it needs Up the Beanstalk. What this deck needs is just white removal. It just needs ways to actually get rid of creatures forever. When Dismember isn't good enough to answer something, there's just literally no permanent answers to things anymore. And the deck doesn't tempo hard enough to take advantage of like 1 to 2 attack steps to just finish out the game in a lot of cases. I understand wanting to play Eddymurk Crab because it lets you keep all of your things in the graveyard to get them back with Stormchaser's Talent later on. I get the decision to not play that over Murktide Regent, but damn, Murktide Regent is so much of a just objectively better card. I think it might be worth making your Stormchaser's Talent worse to just play the card that's better. Like, there's a lot of times where if on turn 3 or 4 I can throw down a Murktide Regent, and like use that to get a couple of points of damage in, I have a better chance of being able to just bounce some stuff out of play and finish getting the hits in. Whereas the crab is much slower to come down because your wastelands and fetch lands don't contribute to it. Having played this, I might be interested in a blue-red prowess deck of some kind that plays like Stormchaser's Talent and Corey's Steelcutter and just wants to play a lot of cantrip and cycle through the deck, like a traditional blue-red Delver deck. Maybe get Monastery Swiftspear in there too, and just like play at least 12 cantrips and just go, 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 go. I don't know, maybe Stormchaser's Talent is only reasonable if you have this town ain't big enough to rebuy it. When you reach the mid-game, if the level 2 ability is returning something like Swords to Plowshares that just permanently answers a creature, I can see this being more appealing. At the end of the day here, I'm going to say this is good deck building. I like what is going on here. I think it needs some finesse still, but this was much better than I expected it to be. I think we played pretty reasonable Magic in a lot of rounds. I don't think the Crab gets online fast enough for Legacy, though. I'm also not really sure if Force of Negation in the main deck was good enough. I do wish I had put 2 more Dismembers into the deck. I think I wish I had those over the Gut Shots, despite the fact that the Gut Shots are theoretically good versus Bowmasters and some things like energy decks. Yeah, so I think the deck needs work, but I like what is cooking here. I'm going to give it the shaky thumbs up. This could potentially go somewhere. Alright, folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and if you need some cards, you know where to go. Alright, see ya!